watch it regardless.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Azariah, and I want to welcome you to the Chaplain's Table. So I want to invite you, come on in. Happy Juneteenth. Happy Independence, Freedom Day. As they say, you see I got my hat here, Juneteenth. So I'm going to get right into it in the spirit of Juneteenth and talking about freedom. I just want to just have a real conversation with you today. I guess the first thing I will do is just ask you, do you really feel free? So before we really dive into it and talk about that, let's just talk about Juneteenth for a minute and what it means. I was fortunate and honored enough to speak at two different Juneteenth events and do the invocations there. And the theme that was given was by one of the giants of justice, Fannie Lou Hamer, who made the famous line, "No one is free or nobody's free until everybody is free." And I started to think about that because that stands true today. We've come a long way, from the times of course, slavery and oppression. But the truth is, today there's still a lot of people who don't feel free. And even if you think you're free, I challenge you to ask yourself, are you really free? If you work a 9 to 5, a lot of times you probably don't feel that free because you're working on somebody else's clock. You have to clock in, you have to clock out. If you're late or if you miss it, then another adult, is coming to talk to you about you not showing up, which is strange, right? If you're so-called free. And the truth is, if you're feeling like me, you can feel the weight of the world. You can feel the pressure, the pressures of life that is probably, I believe, weighing a lot of us down, because the truth is, just don't feel that free. So let's just talk about it. As anybody that knows me know how transparent I am, and there are times, if I can be real honest with you, to where I ask myself, how am I really doing? How am I really feeling? Am I really free? Do I feel free? Do I feel free of the chaos of this world? And that looks so many different ways for many different people. But do I feel free of just walking down the street in this world? Do I really feel free? Am I really free? If I speak a certain way and a certain group of people don't agree with it, and then I get in trouble for that, is that really freedom? So just little things like that. But what is it that is happening with you? One of my goals in the world is for people to unlock the true answers within, and that which leads to being your true spiritual self. The message that I've been going around speaking is about unlocking yourself, and that's about just being the true you. But that comes by being free. And the truth is, we're in such a sensitive world in today's time that a lot of people can't speak on or say what they really feel. You're either talked about, or they so-called have this so-called council culture, which is a bunch of bull crap if you ask me. It's just all these different things that are just happening in this world because everybody got an opinion about something. Everybody got something to say. Everybody has the answers. And the truth is, it's like nobody really know what they're talking about, because we've done a good job in this world of taking other people's problem and trying to tell other people how to live their life when we are not truly looking in the mirror at ourselves to see who we really are. And so that's the question I really challenge you and ask you today. Who are you really? The great mystic theologian Howard Thurman, he asked that question as he was speaking one day, and in such a mighty voice, he got up, and the first question he asked says, "Who are you, really? And what is it that you really want? What is it that we're really after?" There's this thing that it seems like everybody's doing the same thing. Everybody's so-called having the same like ideals now. You got 20,000 motivational speakers. You got all these pastors. You got all these so-called influencers. And when they cut the lights and you cut the camera off, really I wonder, who are they? And that's just a question that we really have to ask ourselves. I've had many conversations with people as a chaplain. On the outside, it looked like everything is going good. I mean, you would think that life is just perfect. But thankfully, I've been fortunate enough to have these one-on-one conversations, and we kind of unpeel all of that, the outer layers, and get deep into the core of who somebody is and what they're dealing with. And what I found out is that a lot of people are really truly struggling with self-identity. If I can put it this way, American psychologist Roland May stated that a lot of us, many people, become a reflection of mirrors, only reflecting what other people expect of us. I want to say that again. Many people become a reflection of mirrors, only reflecting what everyone else think of us. And truthfully, that was me. If I can be real honest with you, I'm probably just now really starting to come out of my own shell, out of the mask of me. And what I mean by that is, when I was started speaking, I used to try to sound like other people. I used to try to come up there and wanted to use these big words to try to, make myself look good and sound good. And sometimes, to be honest with you, I wasn't really feeling that. Because I was trying to give a message that was catered to making someone else feel good first, but it didn't speak to me. And if you know anything about speaking, it has to speak to you first. Whether you're giving a sermon, whether you're giving a speech, it should speak to you first. Because out of your experience, you can heal many people. But we do each other no good when we're sitting here wearing these masks and trying to please everybody. We're in this world where everybody's talking about how much money you have to have, what type of car do you drive, what type of, if you're a lady, what is the Bergen bag? I don't know if I'm saying it right. You got to have a BBL. You got to have a certain look. It's the same thing that we're being fed by the media, by entertainment, and it's really tiring. It's just really tiring. And I believe if you're really honest with yourself, I know you have to be tired too. It's like this one look that you have to go with. If you're a guy, you're supposed to have all these abs and muscles. It's like that's what's so-called perfect. If you're a woman, you gotta have the big booty, the hair, the boobs. It's like, but we have lost our authenticity. I mean, we have, as a whole, as a world, we have really lost our authenticity. And I just want you to know that if you are struggling with self-identity, that's okay. But the first thing you have to do is really sit down and tell yourself that you're struggling with self-identity. One thing I tell you to do is write a letter to yourself. Write a letter to yourself and who it is that you really are trying to be. Not what no one else is doing, not what someone else told you should be doing, but who is it that you are really trying to be? And of course, from a chaplain perspective, I always tell you that starts from a spiritual foundation. And let me be clear on this spiritual too, because I do have a problem with religion. I've been openly telling everybody that, and because I come from a strict religious background and how I was raised, not more so in home, but just from going to church every Sunday, the pressures of trying to be good. I probably didn't say my first cuss word until I was like, I don't know, 12, 13, just because I was scared to cuss because I thought I was going to hell for that. But I'm not talking about your religion. I'm talking about you, the spiritual self. And there's this scripture that says the spirit within is greater than the spirit that's within the world. What is that spirit within that's in you? What is the spirit within? We in this world, I mean, and I felt victim to this. It's been like, oh man, I need to have this amount of money. I need to have this type of car. I need to have this type of clothes. And it's like, but who spiritually are you? Who is it that you are, that the Most High, the Creator, the Great Spirit, God, Yahweh, whatever you want to call it? I'm not really interested in all what you're believing in and who you're believing in, but I am interested in your spirituality. And who is it that God or the Great Spirit, the Most High, has called you to be? I'm not talking about what your pastor then told you. I'm not talking about what a book that's 2,000 years old has told you. I'm not talking about what some New York best time seller has told you about their life. And that's good. That's inspiration. I'm not knocking inspiration, but I'm talking about you. Who are you? Because the truth is, you are writing your own story. We all are. We're writing our own story. But the thing is, we don't realize we're writing our story because we're too busy worried about other people's story. We're too busy listening to other people's story. We're too busy on Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, worried about everybody else's story, all under their pages talking about their life, when in our own life, we can't even fathom to look in the mirror to see who we really are. And it's, trust me, I know it's easy. It's easy to look at everybody else. It's easy to look at your favorite celebrity. And let me tell you this. Let me tell you a little secret about all of these. My wife and I talk about this quite a bit. Personally, I'm not impressed with what people do on television. I don't know them. I don't. So why am I so impressed with somebody I don't know when I got people in my life, my real life, that I can see their everyday struggle? I respect somebody more that I know, that I see may have a struggle, and they've worked their way out of that struggle. And that's the thing. We're too busy praising people we don't even know, when we're not praising our own neighbors, our own family members, our friends that are doing some darn good things. And it's really tiring. It's tiring. I know it has to be tiring. And I want you to really, really, really search within you to just ask yourself who you are. It's really that simple. Write down, who am I? And if you don't know, write, I don't know. But at the core of all this is your spiritual self. I'm a true believer that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. Because as a spiritual being, we come from something. This is what I believe. This is what Azariah believes. We come from something. I don't believe we don't come from nothing. People say, man, I came from nothing. That's not true. Physically, it may look like you didn't come from nothing. That's another mistake right there. When we use, I came from nothing, I had to get it out the gutter. I hear you. But we're talking about a material realm. We're talking about this materialistic, I came from nothing. I didn't have food on my table like that. You may have not had clothes on your back that you wanted, but it's like you don't come from nothing. What you come from is way deeper than anything spiritual, than money can buy you, than the type of car you drive. Trust me, you get it, that stuff will get old really quick. But the spiritual self, the spiritual place you come from, is not nothing. It is something, and it's deep down in your subconscious. If you just spend just a little time with yourself and your God and your spiritual practices, you will start finding out different things about you. You probably heard stories of people who, they may have had it all according to the world, and then they walked away from it because they had to go find themselves. Now ask yourself this. We look at somebody like Dave Chappelle, who's a great giant in comedy. Why would Dave Chappelle, and I asked you to go look at the brother's interview when he talked about he left the Chappelle show to go to Africa. Why would somebody with millions of dollars need to walk away from something if they so-called had it all? He had to go, what did he say? I had to go find me. And that's what I'm trying. I know it's hard for us to see if you're not coming from money and if you don't have all these fancy things, but I'm telling you, we look at people like Michael Jackson, may God rest his soul, may his soul rest, who we thought had it all, right? But you listen to Michael Jackson talk long enough, it seemed like he really wasn't happy. I can go on, and I'm using people you may know, big time people. We look at the Whitney Houstons. We look at all these people who, to us on the outside looking in, look like they have the world. And then next thing you know, overdose. Next thing you know, not happy, rehab. And it's like, why? Because we miss the mark. Missing the mark means you have not really spent time with who it is God has called you to be. When you spend time with you, I like to say the physical self versus the spiritual self. The physical self is that side of you that, we can look good on the outside. We can paint I call it painting your body when you work out the outside, everything looking good. That's who everyone else sees. That's who everyone else is seeing. But your spiritual self is the self that you lay down with every night that other people may not see, but is there. You are in there. And your spiritual self is that other voice in you speaking to you, telling you, it's like you telling yourself, you can do a little better than this. And sometimes we fall victim to this whole notion of like being present for everybody else, but not being present for us. And when we fall victim to that and you lay down that night, I usually talk to people, I say, what does the other you say about you? And for me, what that looked like was when I used to go out and try to speak like other people, when I used to go out and, have this so-called image, and I would lay down like, man, I don't really feel like doing that. And now I'm at a point where I personally, I just don't care what other people think. But I'm at a point now to where I am speaking what it is I truly feel. And when I speak that and when I can be aware of that, it makes me feel so much better. If I can go even further with you, I've had times where I felt like I was about to mentally and spiritually break. I mean, there have been times where I just said, you know what, forget it. Forget all of this. I don't want anything to do with it. I don't want nothing to do with religion. I don't want nothing to do with careers. Forget it. I'm going to go off the face of the map of the earth. Nobody going to find me. I'll just go figure it out without all this. Because trying to keep up is such a draining thing to do. And we have been taught that, well, you need to do this. I mean, you take tests in school, right? Just think about it from a kid. You take these tests in school. You're either going to get an A, B, C, D, or F. And when you get that and you figure out what somebody else got, you might not be the best test taker, but you are very intelligent. But somebody else get an A and it starts making you feel like you're not smart. It starts making you feel like you're not relevant. And so from a child all the way up to our adulthood, we are taught that we are only valued by the material things we do, or maybe by this test or what we have. I always had this saying, like if somebody go to McDonald's that don't have money and really struggling in life, and then somebody goes like a celebrity or somebody with big time money goes to McDonald's, 9 times out of 10 they're going to get the person who already has the so-called money and everything stuff for free, and then they're going to treat the person who really needs help like garbage, like they're nothing, tell them they have to leave, and say the person might be, I just want something to drink, well, I can't get, and there are good people out there that do that, but for the most part, this world is so backwards. We've got this thing all wrong, and we know it. That's the crazy part about it. We know it, but we get into this mentality, well, I got to get mine, right? I have to do what's best for me. And I get it because it's tough. This world, I'm telling you, I have my days. I'm right there with you. But then one thing I know is when I try to go that route, when I try to say, I'm going to be a savage, I'm going to do this, it's the spirit, my spiritual self say, trust me, it's deeper than what this material thing is. It's deeper than that. It's about helping others. It's about being the best version of yourself. First of all, for the God that made you and for your soul. Your soul comes into question when you ignore your spirit self and you do what's best for the physical self so everybody can praise you and you try to look good for everybody else. That's when your soul comes into question. And my job as a chaplain, I know what my role is. I'm a spiritual messenger, right? That's what I do. I've acknowledged that. And let me be clear with you. This is nothing that I wanted to do. I was going, honestly, I'm gonna be real with you. I was like, the hell with people, the hell with all that. Because, you sometimes you get in these roles and people try to put you here, and I'm like, no, I'm not there. I'm everyday living like you. I'm hustling just like you. I go to work just like you. I'm trying to make it just like you. I have a family to provide for just like you. But what I've learned and what I'm learning, what the Great Spirit is teaching and guiding me to do is really dive deeper into who I am. And there are some things about myself I don't like. There are some things about myself that I struggle with. There are times where I get really angry. I'm just like angry. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it all. I get to this point and I'm like, forget it. I get snappy. I get like frustrated, and I just don't want to do it. I don't care. I don't like. Let me tell you, I'm gonna be real. The hardest part sometimes for me is trying to help others when I myself may not be feeling up to doing it. I may have my own struggles. And the crazy part about it is I actually do enjoy helping others, but there are days. There are days I'm just like, man, forget all of this. I'm tired of keeping up with it. There's no need of talking to nobody because everybody know everything now. And I just feel like we have lost a sense of our identity. We've lost ourselves because we're too busy stuck to these screens. We're too busy stuck trying to be like somebody else. We're too busy praising and worshiping people that we don't even know, and we'll treat them better. You go and run into somebody, we treat them better than we do our own neighbors. We walk past homeless people every day. We walk past people that are struggling every day, and then we'll go spend all this money on people we don't even know who don't need it. But this is what we do. This is the world we are in. And so I want to challenge you. Are you really free? Because we are in this matrix. And if we're all stuck in this matrix, I'm here to tell you today, we're not free. It's one thing you might feel like you're free. Yeah, we can walk outside. That's a sense of freedom. But psychologically, we are really screwed. We are. We are screwed. I remember when when I was coming up, I was raised highly religious in the Pentecostal movement. And since then, I've broken free from all of that dogma that I was raised with. But I'm going to be really honest with you. Me being growing up religious how I was really almost messed up my marriage. In the first year of my marriage, it was about to be done. My wife, a strong, independent black woman, I remember I had to choose. It really came to a point, and I didn't realize at the time I was being tested, not by her. I was being tested by God. I had made a vow that here I am, we were at 21, 22. I made a vow to this woman that I'm going to be her husband. I'm going to take care of her. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be her everything in spirit and the truth, no matter what. Under God did I pledge this. And then the test came where I had to choose to go to church. And then here's the weird, crazy part about it. She wasn't feeling well, and she went to the hospital. And she called me and said, "You're going to come to the hospital. I need you here." I had the nerve, in all of my ignorance, to argue with her and say, well, I have to be at the church because they need me. It sounds very stupid, right? But this is the problem that I have with religion, because I thought if I missed one service, I wasn't going to make it into heaven, if you believe in that. I thought that I was a backslider if I didn't, but that was instilled in me. And thankfully, I snapped out of that. Me and my wife, we was able to talk about it, and I didn't really. It still took me years. It took me years to really say, wait a minute. Let me put my queen first, But situations happen to where God will reveal stuff to you in time. And so here's another point for you. When God starts revealing stuff to you, it may be scary, but don't be afraid to go ahead and take a step. So I started taking sabbaticals. I remember one time I was about to crank my car up to go to church, and here's the truth. I did not have no gas, nor did I have money to put in my tank. I looked at it later and like, that was a sign. I need to sit down somewhere, because God was doing work through me. And this is why I'm able to speak freely now. This is why I'm able to say I've never felt freer than I have before. So I want to be clear. I'm not knocking like religion or anything like that. I just got a problem with a lot of people do. A lot of people are feeling this way. And there are a lot of people stuck in what their pastor is saying. There's a lot of people stuck in what their imam is saying. There's a lot of stuck in what their so-called spiritual leader is saying, when God has given you a spirit as well. God said, you've been made in the image of the great spirit. You've been made. You've been made. Your identity is you. You might have a sibling that look like you. You might have a family member that look like you, but there are qualities about you that no one else has. And when you realize how special you really are and the power you hold within, you won't be worried about what the next person doing. You won't be worried about what the next celebrity doing because you're going to be too busy living your purpose. And that is what I'm challenging you to do. To be really, really free is to have a spiritual freedom, because that's your foundation. And when you have that spiritual freedom, I'm telling you, there is nothing or no one that can hold you back. And you start realizing, yeah, we need money to survive, but that is not what defines me. What defines me is who I spiritually am. Because at the end of this, our soul will move on. When we're done with this realm, our soul will move on. Now, I'm not saying it's going to heaven, hell. I don't know. I ain't died and came back. And that's just the truth. I understand everybody have their theories. I've studied great theologians. I consider myself a theologian as well. But the truth is, we don't know until we know. I don't care what nobody tell you. And we got to snap out of this mindset. We get in all these debates about who's right, who's wrong, who's right, who's wrong. Well, my religion is right. My religion is this. My religion, man, forget you and your religion, because that's not the truth. The truth is what God has given you. That's the truth. It's just like in somebody's marriage. It's like somebody else coming to tell me how my marriage should be, and I follow all their steps and what their marriage should be, but yet I'm truly unhappy because I'm trying to do what they tell me to do, when in reality what works in my marriage works in my marriage. That's the same thing with life. That's the same thing with career. That's the same thing with everything. You have to be okay being you. And if people don't accept you for that, oh well. Because here's the thing, another thing. The real, true people that's supposed to be with you on this journey, you'll meet them if you haven't already. And some of you may have already been in this moment. You might have already gone through this and you're feeling free. You're breaking free from all the dogma of not just religion, but which career you should choose. I worked in healthcare. Some people were doctors only because their parents were doctors, and that made their parents proud. Then you get there and you talk to them. They're like, well, I really wanted to do music, or I really wanted to be a poet, but it wasn't respected, right? And now they're sitting there. They might be making a lot of money, but there's a sense of emptiness. And that's another thing. You're always going to feel empty until you're truly living out your purpose. Because the truth is, when you're living out your purpose, it ain't about how much money you make. You're going to still be fulfilled in that just based on you doing it. Because that is just what you're supposed to be doing. The money, all that, that'll come. That'll come. But this is just about you finding your spiritual self. So again, I ask you, are you really free? Are we really free? Are we really free? Truthfully, it feels like we're living in this big dome. What was that show? The Truman Show, or the movie, I think, with Jim Carrey. But it's like cameras are on you. Cameras are rolling. And you go outside. You don't know who's real. You don't know who's for you. You don't know what's real. I mean, they even got this thing about the sun not being real. Who knows? I wouldn't be surprised. But the truth is, what you do know. There's a great theologian philosopher that says, I think, therefore I am. The fact that I can think, the fact that I can see me, the fact that I know what I feel is how I know I'm real, and how I know that my experiences are real. Don't ignore your experiences based on somebody else not understanding them. Hear me clearly. Don't ignore your experiences based on someone else not understanding them. Your experience, I'll never forget when we first moved, we move when we want to move. That's how me and my wife get down. We go, everybody doesn't know us. We go where we want to go when we want to go. People, well, how you going to do that? Don't worry about how. You ain't helping me pay the bills. Well, where you going? Don't worry about that. What you worried about it for? Because people want to keep you where they at. But I know my experiences, because they don't understand it, but my experiences, from everywhere I've went, from all the places I've moved, I've been able to make an impact because it was God-led. And I'm just now starting to see this. Let me be real with you. I am just now starting to see this. All the times I speak, I'm like, man, my bank account needs to match what I'm doing, but it's deeper than that. God will send you places. It might be a little uncomfortable. You got to be okay with that sometimes, like, because you got to know it's a greater purpose. It's a greater purpose for what in your uncomfort. There's a greater purpose in what it is you're supposed to be doing. To us, we want things instantly, and that's my biggest thing. I am not a patient person. I'm working on it. I really am. I am not that patient. I know people probably think that I am not patient at all. Like, I want stuff. Like, what's the little JG Wentworth? I want my money. I want it now. But I've understood that the people I've been able to talk to, the places I've been able to the doors that have been open, it's not just by my own doing. It's spirit led. So again, freedom. What does that look like for you? What does that look like for you? Are you living your life based on what you want other people to think of you? Are you living your life based on who God wants you to be? Who it is that you want to be? There's something inside of you that you know. You know it. You know it, but you might be afraid to open a business. And let me tell you this, shameless plug here. Universal Chaplain Service, my business. That one of the businesses, a vision that I had, and this is where we take chaplains from all over the world and we connect them with people like you, everyday people, to have someone to talk to. My greatest fear was, man, I don't want to do this. I'll be honest, I still struggle with it. It's like I'm good. Let me go make my little money go, but it won't let me go. Every time I try to shy away from it, my wife either gonna come. So what you did for your business? I'm like, man, I don't feel like doing this, but it's the truth because it's not about me. It's bigger than me, and I know that, but I still struggle. And I'm being honest with you, and what I'm trying to tell you, it's okay to struggle. It's okay to not know. It's okay to be afraid. But just sit with you and learn you. Learn who you are. You know, if you need inspiration, you get that. But if you are like everything that come out your mouth is what somebody else has said or what some other scripture has said, then you're not speaking for you. You're speaking on what they have given you. And when you speak on what somebody else has given you and never have nothing to say for yourself, then you are not really living a true life. You know, and some may disagree with me. That's on you. But I from my experience, when I've gone out to spoke and I just spoke what was given to me from the spirit within, I had a more impactful message. It was more helpful to others. And so, again, are you free? Um, and I just wanted to share that with you, share part of my heart with you today. And then I want to say this. If you are feeling like you really need somebody to talk to, then yeah, please go visit www.universalchaplainservices.com. We have certified chaplains, people from all walks of life who just there to listen to you. That's one of the things we don't really have a lot of anymore. You know, and this is from a spiritual perspective, you know. Go get you a therapist. For the first time in my life, I actually did therapy, and it was really, really liberating. And I plan to do more. So just keep, you know, finding ways to build you, to be yourself, and to really unlock the answers within, unlock the spiritual self and who you're destined to be. Eliminate all the noise around you. Turn the TV off. It's too much chaos. Turn social media off for a change. Fast for a month. Fast for 2 weeks. Even if you can't do that much and you make your money off social media, fast for half a day or something. Just go outside. Get outside and look at the beauties of life. Look at the birds flying. I mean, simple things. Those are the type of things that fill me and that lets me know, you know what? It's something greater than me out here and I'm not alone. And so I just want you to do that. But thank you for listening to this. If you have any questions, please comment. Let's start a conversation. Again, I always tell people I don't have all the answers, nor do I try to. That's too much pressure. I just speak my truth because I'm not afraid to do that. And I challenge you to do that too. So again, www.universalchaplainservice.com. Visit it. Subscribe to this channel if you have not. Share this with friends, somebody that may be going through something. If you need somebody to talk to again, visit us. I mean, we're here for you. My whole goal, as I tell you all the time with the Chaplain's Table, is that this should be a community where we can talk, we can just really have real life conversations. It ain't got to be by a book. It ain't got to be it's just real life conversations. All right. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. I hope you enjoyed. I hope this helps. Until the next time, you're always welcome to the chaplain table. Peace.